But the thing is that a lot of people get into wholesaling real estate and they never make a dollar, and they spend all this time trying to learn about it, and then they never actually get anywhere, and they kind of give up on their dreams. Had to get different colored marker here. So in the wholesale real estate example, let's go to a quick little image I drop. I'm not an artist, but I try my best. This is a property. This is a house. This is an investment property. It could be, it could be a single family home, a duplex, triplex. It doesn't really matter. Any property is what this is. And over here, we have the owner of the property. This person is going to want to sell this property. And they don't really care who they sell it to, but they just want somebody to come through and they want somebody to buy it. But it's kind of a game, right? Because not every single property is going to be a fit for all the different buyers that are out there in the market. And so finding the one buyer is this person's job in order to effectively sell that property, but they don't know who this person is. They don't have the network to know who the best buyer of their property is. And that's where you, as a real estate wholesaler, come in. Now, what your job is to find an owner who wants to sell this property to a buyer, but doesn't know who this buyer is. That is all wholesaling real estate is. And in exchange for helping connect this person with this person, you're gonna take what we call is a wholesale fee. So whenever the money gets transferred from the buyer to the owner in exchange for the property, you are also going to get a fee, okay? And so wholesale fees can really be any amount of money. I mean, it depends on how much this property is worth in the market. So let's say this is a rental house, and let's say that this rental house is worth, let's call it $200,000, okay? So we have this thing that's worth $200,000 to this buyer. Now, how much your fee is gonna be is equivalent to how much lower than $200,000 you can get this person to sell you the property for. So if you can get this person to sell you the property for $195,000, then your fee is going to be $5,000. This person is going to give $195,000 to the owner of the property. They're going to give $5,000 to you, and they have bought it for $200,000. Now, if you can get this person to agree to sell it to you for, let's say, $180,000, this person is still going to pay $200,000. The buyer doesn't care how much who's getting of where. All the buyer cares about is how much am I paying for this property? How much is this property worth, right? And so the lower that you can get this property priced in an agreement, the more profit you're gonna get. Your profit, your fee, is directly correlated to the difference between how much the property is worth to the buyer and how much you can get an agreement to, right? And that's your fee. And so wholesale fees, I've seen wholesale fees go from $500, which, you're taking on some work here, but for $500, or I've seen wholesale fees in the $200,000 range, right? On bigger multi-million-dollar properties. Now, not only do you have to find this, which we call sellers, we have to find motivated leads, people who want to sell their properties, but it's also your job as a wholesaler to find investors over here who want to buy it. And this is called your buyer's list, okay? And so as somebody who wants to wholesale, not only do you have to find people who want to sell, but you have to find people who want to buy. And a lot of times you're going to have repeat buyers. And that's what having a strong buyer's list can do for you. Except the problem here is that there's a lot of buyers and there's not a lot of sellers. And so sellers are really what's in demand. It all comes back to having a good deal. And so this person here, the buyer, being an investor, they are going to want to get this property. Let's say, again, we said it's worth $200,000 to this person. That means that the property probably needs to be worth less than $200,000 on the market, right? So really this property probably needs to be worth, let's call it at least $220,000, because this person is buying this property because they think they're gonna make a profit. If this person didn't think they were gonna make a profit, then they would never buy the property. That's the whole goal of this transaction, is for this person to make a profit. A lot of people get into wholesaling real estate because they want fees. Why do they want fees? They want fees so that they can build up their bank account, right? They want to get up their bank account. And why do they want to get their bank account up? So that they can become this person. Almost every single person I talk to who wants to be a wholesaler eventually wants to be a buyer. And so the problem in my mind is that here we're trading deals. Again, this deal needs to be worth probably at least a 10% discount. So let's call it a $220,000 market value. you're gonna take a $5,000, $10,000 fee and you're gonna let this person make a $20,000 profit plus all the cash flow, plus the appreciation, plus the debt pay down, all the benefits of being a cash flow investor that we talk about here. This person over here gets it. This person has read this book. They understand every single piece of why they want to buy this deal. And this person wants to get to where you want to get to where this person is. You want to become a buyer. But I think that you have it all backwards. And let me tell you what I mean. So here's what I mean by I think that you're taking the wrong approach, is that let's take another look. I removed the seller and I put some numbers up here. Let's say, for example, that this house is worth $200,000, you have it under contract for $180,000, and so your profit in there, your fee would be $20,000. In my mind, in my eyes, you really have two options, and nobody talks about this. Number one is you could say, I want a fee off of this deal, right? I want a fee, I'll take my $20,000 cash, and I'm gonna build up my bank account so that I can eventually be the buyer and I can buy and hold. But why? You just did all that hard work. There's a ton of buyers out there. There's not a lot of sellers. The deal is the most important piece of the pie, and you just went through the work of finding a deal, a $220,000 market value deal. You just found that for $180,000. You just did the hard work. And so in order to build up your bank account, then you have to go find it again and again. And while you continue to find those deals, guess what? The deal that you sold to this guy or gal appreciated, cash flow, tax benefits, all the likes. And so instead of taking that approach, do what I do. I'm a syndicator, right? I go out and I find deals, and instead of wholesaling it for a fee to investors, I go to investors and say, hey, how about you throw some money in this deal that I have? And so it's the same exact approach. All syndicators are wholesalers, except they raise money instead of selling the deal, right? And so if you take that same approach, but don't think you have to go sell, and raise capital and get in all that, your buyers list over here, the people that you have, the people who you build a connection with and a bond with, tell them whenever you have a deal, hey, I got the deal under contract at $180,000. Could we agree that you would buy it for $200,000, therefore my fee would be $20,000? But instead of taking that, what I'd rather get, I don't want a fee, I want ownership in the deal instead of getting a fee, right? And so here's how the numbers work out. You have $20,000 out of $200,000 that are owed to you. That's 10% of this deal that you could get, right? And so 10% of this deal is pretty powerful, because whenever we think about leverage and we think about buying a $200,000 deal, well, at 20% down, right? 20% of $200,000, your down payment would be $40,000, right? So you have $20,000 and it's only going to take $40,000 to buy this project at $200,000. So tell the investor, tell the buyer from the buyer's list that you want to roll your fee back into this deal, and you, instead of pawning off the entire deal, want to sell them a portion of that deal. So let's just say they wanted to buy it all cash, and let's say worst case scenario, there's a deal for $200,000, you have $20,000, but you're entitled to at least 10% of that deal. Okay, now in this situation of the down payment, you could get 50% of that deal. But let's say you get anywhere from 10 to 50%, and this is all really just a negotiable range. Why would you go and get fees to build your bank account to become this person whenever you can just become this person now? And that's a really powerful mindset shift that a lot of wholesalers don't have. Again, the mindset is, oh, I need to wholesale, get checks, and I need to stack up a bank account so I can be a buyer. Well, you're already doing the hardest work there is of finding deals. That's the most valuable skill. And so flip that around. Instead of getting $20,000 fees, take an ownership percentage in this deal. So let's just say worst case, if you were to get 10% of this deal, well, the deal is worth $220,000 if we said. So $220,000 and 10% of that is $22K, right? So you made at least an extra $2,000 there, and you're gonna get cash flow, and the property's gonna appreciate, and all of these other things. Now, there's no cut and dry. You're saying, well, what's the difference in taking a 10% versus 20% or 50% of the down payment? Here's the thing, it's all negotiable. It's all what you can work out with this investor. And you can tell this investor, just like I tell my investors in my capital raising, is, oh, well, I'll give you a preferred return out of the cash flow. I'll give you a preferred return out of your invested capital. There's a lot of different ways you can go. But at the end of the day, this guy is gonna buy this, instead of for $200,000, he's gonna buy it for $180,000. So this is a true win-win scenario for everybody involved. And all it really takes is a mindset shift of wholesaling real estate to become an investor to I'm going to become an investor now and I'm going to switch my strategy. And so that's what we talk a lot in Skip the Flip, is about, you know, how do these deals work so that I can jump right to being a buyer, being an investor, and creating residual cash flow for myself. Because this check, this fee you get, it's one-time money. And everybody gets into real estate not for one-time money, everybody gets into real estate for forever money. And so that's what this buyer's getting, but that's what these wholesalers aren't. And these wholesalers are still stuck in this problem of, you know, there's nothing wrong with wholesaling. If you're out there wholesaling, you're watching this video, if you want to become a wholesaler, there's nothing wrong with being a wholesaler. But at the end of the day, wholesaling real estate is just a job, right? It's no different than going down to, you know, McDonald's and making fries. The problem is that you're trading your time for money. And hopefully in the scenario of wholesaling real estate, you know, you're making more money than you would working down at McDonald's. And that's great. And I want you to make as much money per hour as possible. But the thing is that a lot of people get into wholesaling real estate and they never make a dollar, and they spend all this time trying to learn about it, and then they never actually get anywhere, and they kind of give up on their dreams. But you can be different. You can, instead of saying, oh, well, I'm going to figure out this whole entire skill in order to try and repeat, become this person, to, oh, I'm going to try and figure out this skill as a shortcut to my goal, right? Because building the bank account is a means to an end, right? You're trying to build your bank account down here so that you can become this person, but you can become this person without the bank account. I became that person without the bank account. Whenever I started doing all this, real estate, when I was in college, I had like $1,500 in my bank account, maybe $1,800 in my bank account, not a lot of money. And I got into it thinking that I was gonna have to wholesale or get a job, and I was gonna have to wait until I got a big bank account before I could be the person who was buying these deals for residual cash flow. And then kind of my mindset shifted. I go, wait a second, if I can find the deals, then I can be the most valuable piece in this entire puzzle. I can be the guy who brings the deals to the table, and instead I just go out and I raise capital and I control the deal. And so kind of the fundamental difference between, you know, I'm gonna wholesale and piggyback off of somebody else versus I'm gonna keep the deal. Let me draw something. So this right here is what I imagine is what I do. And so I go out and I buy commercial properties. This is my drawing of a storage building. I go find the seller. This is me, this is Hayden, and I have my investors down here. Okay, and so the only difference is that I find sellers and I give them money for their property, and the property comes to me. And what I do is I get money from my investors, in which I pass on to the seller. Okay, and then I end up owning the property and my investors work with me on this deal. Now, the only difference between this, because in both of the same scenarios, in the wholesaling that we just looked at and in this scenario, the money is not coming from you. The money is not coming from me. The difference is the level of control here. Okay, because in this scenario where I raise capital, I'm controlling this deal. Okay, and in the last scenario, to where you give it to a different buyer over here, they're gonna control this deal and you're gonna be along for the ride. Essentially, you're being an investor in their deal, and you kind of have to do this in the beginning, because most other, you know, experienced, qualified people on your buyer's list aren't gonna want you to control the deal. They're gonna wanna control the deal, and you need to be okay giving them control in the deal so that you can learn, so that you can make progress, so that you can put assets on your balance sheet. You need to be okay with that, and you are essentially being the investor, but instead of money, your source of value to get into the deal isn't money. You've brought the deal, and you're handing the deal over to this guy, and instead of a fee, you know, you are getting paid. You are providing money. You were entitled to a fee for bringing the deal to the table, but instead of getting the fee, you're gonna roll your fee back into the deal, right? And so the two scenarios, from wholesaling to raising capital in this picture, they're no different, right? Fundamentally, very little difference. And at the end of the day, these people own real estate, this person owns real estate, and that's the goal, right? Two people come together as in a common force to both benefit and get closer to the end goals. And that's what you can do as a wholesaler. Instead of just pawning the deal off, is, hey, I want in on the deal, not just now, but I want in on the deal forever. And so I think that's a really powerful place. If you're out there, if you're wholesaling real estate right now, this is something I would highly encourage you to do, unless your goal is not to, own property. But I don't know a single real estate wholesaler who got into wholesaling real estate just to make money. People don't get into wholesaling real estate just to make money. They get into wholesaling real estate so that they can eventually become a real estate investor. And wholesalers, they're not real estate investors. They're workers, they're salespeople, they're brokers, they're agents. They're just connecting two parties, and that's not called investing, right? This is investing, to where we buy it and we're gonna hold it and we're gonna cash flow. We may sell it sometime in the future, but we're not selling it right now. And so this was the powerful mindset shift that I wanted you guys to understand. If you have any questions about wholesaling real estate, let me know. I've done some wholesaling in my days. I learned that it's not what I want to do, because every time I sold a property, met back up with the buyer, they talked about how great the property was doing and how they just want to buy more deals from me. And eventually it didn't start to make sense. It's like, wait a second, these guys keep telling me how much they're crushing it, all the money they're making, I got paid a fee, and they're doing what I want to do. How do I get to that position first? And so that's kind of the lesson here. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this strategy. It's essentially reverse capital raising. It's like you're being the investor, you're finding your deal sponsor, and you're putting your fee as an investment back into the deal. If you can find somebody who you bring deals to them, and you put your fee back into the deal, and they'll let you piggyback off of it and not just be an investor but also be involved, that's a great way to get experience. And those people, if anybody watching this video, if you go out and you find a storage deal that I think is an awesome deal and you can bring it to me at a price that I want to buy it, let's say I want to buy this at $1 million and you get this under contract for $950,000, and if you come to me and you say I got a deal for $1 million, and if I underwrite that deal at $1 million and I want to buy that thing for $1 million, then you have $50,000 essentially of investment credit with Hayden, right? You just got yourself $50,000 of investment credit with Hayden. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Hayden. It can be any name out there, any other syndicator, any other person like that, but you need to switch your mindset from I'm finding deals to get a $50K fee to I'm finding deals to get a $50K investment. That is what I hope you guys take away from this video. If you have any questions, let me know. If you thought this video was awesome, if this was a great mindset shift, drop me some sort of comments below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next time. Thank you so much for watching. There are 4 ways that I can help you on your real estate journey if you enjoyed this content. Number 1, you can have a free copy of this book in PDF or audiobook. The link is in the description. It's a bestseller. Number 2, you can join my free Facebook group where we're constantly adding value in your life in the real estate world. Number 3, you can watch my free training, How to Acquire Your First Investment Property in the Next 90 Days. The link is in the description, absolutely free. Number 4, like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us grow this so we can get access to more influential people in the real estate world to come on this channel and share their knowledge with you. I hope you like this video. Check out some others on my page, and I'll see you soon.